There's our Rabbi Duchman, all the way from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Frankly, Rabbi Duchman, I never thought in my life that I'd be saying those words. A rabbi speaking to us all the way from Dubai, United Arab Emirates, but it's truly an honor having you, Rabbi Duchman. Thank you for joining us so early by you, just before davening, I understand. Thank you for all you do on behalf of the Jewish community in Dubai and on behalf of Am Yisrael across the world. It's really a pleasure having you here today. And I'll allow you to begin just maybe with a short introduction of yourself, of how you ended up in Dubai to begin with, and then we can begin the interview. I'm going to pin your video. And again, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Dubai. B'chavod, Rabbi Duchman. So just a few words maybe about yourself, your own biography, and then how you ended up in Dubai.
Okay. So good morning or good evening by you guys. It is currently 7:10 in the morning, and we are about to get ready for Shacharis, for the morning service, as you mentioned. A little bit about myself. My name is Rabbi Levi Duchman. I am from Brooklyn, New York, from Crown Heights. That's where I grew up. And I studied in the UK, in Manchester. And from there, I moved to Casablanca, Morocco. Interesting enough, in Morocco has the merit of being the first country in the world where the Rebbe has sent a Chabad emissary, where Chabad was present. The first place was Morocco, and I had the merit of working there for 3 years with my brother-in-law, Rabbi Levi Banan. And from there, as things were developing over there, we slowly were developing, with the developing of the Jewish community here in the United Arab Emirates, and as well along with in the other Gulf countries.
All right. Okay, thank you, Rabbi Duchman. So tell us, when did you move to Dubai? And have you had to work secretly, maybe facing dangers and all sorts of risks? Or was it pretty much peaceful for you?
So I moved to Dubai just about 6 years ago. We always had a very, very peaceful time. The UAE government was always very supportive of the Jewish community here. The UAE is really a beacon of tolerance. So tolerance, coexistence, and making sure that all the communities, the different religions, feel comfortable here. Secretive, yes, of course. In the beginning, we kept a little bit more to the downside, to the extent which, if you guys see my kippah, so when I wear it, I don't know if you can see, but if I wear it forward, people would think I'm Muslim mutawa. So just so this is usually the way I would walk around, and then move it back for my thing. So obviously we had certain times we were more discreet, or certain times where we had some challenges just explaining what about the Jewish needs and what the community needs. But in sense of feeling safe, we always felt very, very safe here in the United Arab Emirates.
Thank you. And how many Jews are there in Dubai? What is the history of the community? And how do you see it moving forward now, especially after this peace agreement?
So similarly to the UAE, to the United Arab Emirates, it's still a young country, but Jews have been coming to the UAE from the very beginning of the establishment. There were Jewish businessmen, contractors that were involved with helping with the building of the infrastructure of the UAE. There's doctors that live here for quite some time, professors. The actual establishment of the Jewish community, I would say, was from early on in 2000, maybe 2005, 2006, is when the Jewish community would slowly gather in people's homes for Rosh Hashanah, for Yom Kippur. And then slowly, once someone would hear about, have a job opportunity to move to the UAE, they would say, well, there's no Jewish community. But once they heard about the Jewish community, more people started moving until we have a very nice Jewish community. We estimate or guesstimate in the United Arab Emirates, maybe there's about 2,000 or 3,000 Jews. So the United Arab Emirates is not only Dubai. So currently I am sitting in Dubai, in the JCC, in the Jewish Community Center of Dubai, but there's Abu Dhabi, which is the capital, and we have Sharjah, Fujairah, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Quwain, Al Ain. So there's a few other emirates. just to give you a little bit of background, and it's easy because you could see in the background, the person in the center of the pictures is a man named Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, and he was the founding father of the UAE. So he is the founding father. He passed away, but the main highway is named after him, and he is still very, very important. On the right is the Al Nahyan family. So they are the ruling family of Abu Dhabi and of the entire United Arab Emirates. So basically, Sheikh Khalifa Al Nahyan is the president and ruler of the UAE, and that's the one more to the right is his younger brother, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the crown prince, which was very influential, and we'll discuss more about him soon, in the in the normalization between the UAE and Israel. On the left is the rulers of Dubai. So there's Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is the ruler of Dubai, but as well the Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates. So he has both roles. And all the way to the left is his son, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed. He is the Crown Prince of Dubai. So these are the rulers, and we have them in our lobby of our synagogue, as we have their full support. And in most public areas, you would find pictures of the rulers of the country, not only here in the United Arab Emirates, but in most countries. And if you would walk into a synagogue in Morocco, you would see the same thing. You would see a picture of the king. So we have that same respect here in the United Arab Emirates.
Right, that's wonderful. Now, so speaking of these chefs, how do they relate to the Jewish community? Do they help you, even financially? Do they at least support you? Or is it more of a cold respect, cold peace between you, the Jewish community, and the local government?
So they always have full support of the Jewish community with everything, and in a very, very warm way. In the beginning of this year, the Middle East was shocked. The foreign minister of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, so it's the one in the center's son, the younger brother of Sheikh Khalifa, he tweeted Shana Tova, so on Rosh Hashanah. So people already felt the warmth and the excitement, and you can imagine our community here, how excited we were before Rosh Hashanah to see on Twitter that our foreign minister has tweeted Shana Tova. So they're always very warm to the community, always seeing what the community needs. Of course, the Jewish community in the Muslim country, you could sometimes have some extra things that you need, whether it's wine for Kiddush, having kosher Kiddush, whether it's having a shechita, which is similar to halal, but allowing us to do both in a factory, to have both a shechita and a halal, and any other needs that a Jewish community would have. They would always very, very much support us, whatever we need.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's reminiscent of what Maimonides writes, that in truth, the Jewish religion has more in common with the Islamic religion than with other religions. So it's beautiful to witness that. Now, with a peace agreement and with this opening of borders also between the UAE and Israel, how do you see the Jewish community evolving? For example, do you have a minyan now every day? Do you see that growing? Do you see more Jews moving to the UAE? Do you see, what do you see happening?
Okay, very, very interesting question. So first, the normalization between, first, as a rabbi here in the United Arab Emirates, rule number one, we don't get involved in politics.
Good for
you.
So
when it comes to politics, I can't answer, but practically on the ground, what we need, I could tell you that the normalization is not only something which is special for our community, the Jewish community, rather it's very much so, and slightly even, you feel it more obviously because I am here and there's more Muslims around us. Between the Muslim community, the Arab community, they are so excited because finally this is something we were never really in war with Israel, the state of Israel. There was just no political ties. Like no one in the United Arab, it's different than Egypt and Jordan, where they had wars with Israel. There was never any wars. People didn't lose any family members in any war. So over here, it was just like a cold political disagreements. But now that with this normalization, it's unbelievable the amount of local Emirati Muslims are asking me to teach them Hebrew. They want to go to Israel. People want to start bringing in these yogurts and these dairy products from Israel. They're trying to import bamba and all these really exciting things. So it's actually very, very exciting on the ground for the local Emiratis. People started adding on their WhatsApp profile picture. They're asking me, how do I write Muhammad with Hebrew letters? How do I write Ahmed with Hebrew letters? Abdullah. They're very, very excited, and this is really what His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed really wanted, to show the tolerance, show the coexistence. So that's one thing. Practically on the ground, we have a tremendous influx of inquiries, not only from the Israeli community, but as well from the American community or European community, because for many Jews, of course, they were very bothered the fact that the UAE hasn't yet recognized the state of Israel. So now that the UAE is recognizing the state of Israel, they feel comfortable to come here. They feel excited to come and spend their money here. So they're more open for tourism. So there's definitely opened up to a lot more potential clients than I would say we had a few weeks ago. I must say, thankfully, we have the infrastructure, the basic infrastructure. So we have our synagogue, we have our minyan. We didn't always have a daily minyan, but now we started a daily minyan. We have a lot more people coming. We have a kosher slaughterhouse where we do our kosher slaughtering. We have a kosher restaurant. So we have a lot of the infrastructure. Is it going to grow? 100%. This is going to be a lot more people coming. People are excited to come. People want to come for visiting. People want to come moving with families. So I definitely think it's going to be very exciting. We are very lucky because before 3 weeks ago, this is not a secret. It's not political. We were never able to import Israeli products. So when I would come here to bring kosher wine, we would have to bring wine made in California, made in Spain. We were never allowed to import Israeli wine. So finally now we could import all these Israeli products. Aside from that, we are probably the only Jewish community in the world that will be able to get our goods from Israel on a truck, because we're only a 22-hour drive from Jerusalem. So it's a 2-day truck ride. So we could start ordering so that's something we're really excited about. So our reach to kosher food is going to be, inshallah, fantastic. So we're quite excited about that as well.
Wow. I have to tell you, it sounds almost too good to be true, but it's just, as they say, the Mashiach. It's really Mashiach times, no doubt. Yes. So let me ask you, do you see this becoming a model for other Arab countries and Jewish communities in those countries? Do you see yourself really now becoming that beacon of light for all of those areas of conflict? Do you think that it can trickle into making more peace agreements, to making Arabs to making places that maybe mistreat Jews, treat them a little bit better?
So yes,
do you see
absolutely.
A ripple effect happening from what you're describing?
Absolutely. I've seen growing up in New York, and if you look on the American media, there's a very, very strong disconnect between Western society and the Muslim communities. There are those that if they're ordering an Uber and they see a Muslim name, they could even cancel and want to order a new one. You have a lot of disconnect, unfortunate. If you're sitting on campus, a lot of young Muslim students, if they're muhajjab, if they cover their hair, they feel uncomfortable. There's always a disconnect, and I feel that this opening it will change. It's a new era. It will change society. It will bring the communities closer together. It will bring people closer together. It will make people feel more comfortable about each other. It will bring more respect with each other. Like you mentioned, and Maimonides mentioned, we are the closest religion to Islam. Our meat that we eat is only slaughtered. Circumcision, even this thing Hajj. If you think Chagim is Hajj, it's the same thing. And we have so many of we both come from Abraham, Ibrahim. So it's quite fascinating how we are so similar. And yes, this I do feel very much so that all the other countries around will slowly build ties with the state of Israel, with the Jewish people, give them recognition. And I think it will eliminate a lot of their Islamophobia as well
Okay.
throughout the communities.
Right. So, Rabbi Duchman, first again, thank you so much for joining us. If I may, one last question before opening this up to, I know that your time is limited, but just to a few questions here that I have on chat and maybe further questions that will come in. But just out of curiosity, first you speak Arab, right? You speak Arabic.
Yes.
Wow. Now, is that a particular Arabic? Is it a Moroccan Arabic? Is it a Lebanese Arabic? Is it Syrian Arabic? What type of Arabic is it?
So very good. So the Arabic language has the base language, which is called Arabiya al-Fusha, which is it's a classical Arabic, which I've studied. My first spoken Arabic was in Morocco, which is a Moroccan Arabic, which is called Darija, which I learned to speak quite well. And over here in the UAE, you have the Khaliji Arabic, which is Gulf Arabic, and more focused in the UAE, you have something called Ramsa. And yes, I do speak the local Ramsa language.
That's amazing. Kol hakavod. Beautiful. So if I may, just to conclude our part, and then I'll open this up again. What is your favorite part about the Arabic culture? And then vice versa, what do you think is their favorite part about the Jewish culture or the Jewish community in Dubai? Or in the United Arab Emirates?
I think we have the similarities, that the two most important similarities, which I see that we have and which connects us so much culturally, is number one, our haknasat archim, our welcoming guest. As we know, the mitzvah of welcoming guests comes from our father Abraham. And this is something I find which we relate to each other very much, that when a guest comes in, we give them our chair before their chair. And just the culture of having guests, taking care of our guests more than ourselves, is something which the values which we share very, very much strongly. Another thing is family matters. Our respect to our parents, to our siblings, to our families. I feel that those are two values, important values, which we both have very much in common, and which both connects both of us. Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. And really, it's part of the massive inspiration you're giving us all. Really, it translates to deeds, to mitzvahs that we can each take upon ourselves. We can learn from them. They can learn from us about achnasat orchim, as you just mentioned, welcoming guests to our home. Even in the COVID-19 era, there's ways of welcoming through Zoom, like we're doing now, and other ways. And at the same time, I'm personally inspired that your passion and your zest for Yiddishkeit and for everything good under the sun, it really perseveres, and that it created a whole new era for our nation and for the world. And no doubt, if we too can continue to push on wherever we are, so overcoming challenges day after day, night after night, and believe in our neshama, believe in our spirit, then no doubt we too can create a whole new era for ourselves and for the world. So thank you, Rabbi Duchman, so much. I want to, if you have time, do you?
Yes,
so
of course.
I want to open this up here to questions that have already come in. So some of the topics you've related to, so you can answer very briefly. But today, the Times of Israel senior White House advisor Jared Kushner concluded the historic U.S.-Israeli visit to Abu Dhabi, saying that it is 100% possible and logical for all 22 Arab states to recognize Israel. Please comment. Okay, I know you said you don't talk politics, and I think you related to that it could have a ripple effect. Do you have anything else to add?
I think that the feelings that Jared Kushner probably had was the same feelings that I have. You come here, you feel the energy, you feel the positive, and like the Rebbe would always say that warmth spreads. You like the other people, you spread out the love, you spread out the warmth. And when you feel the warmth, how the UAE is really embracing Israel, bringing in the flight already and moving so quickly, it's hard to believe that the others wouldn't join. So
right. Okay, fantastic. So how many people usually attend services?
So it depends. In our Talmud Torah for the school, we have about 40 children that attend throughout the week. Services, we could have, obviously this is pre-COVID, we would have coming over Shabbos at Friday night, maybe 40, 50 people. and Shabbat morning a little less, as our community is still a young community, and it's hard to get the guys out of bed in the morning. Okay.
Tell me about it. Okay, good. All right, what's the relationship of the UAE and Persian Spanish Jews? Interesting question.
Things are always changing, but I tell you that I many times meet different Persian Jews coming to the UAE for their American visa, because they don't have that. They use our embassy here, the American embassy here, where they come, and the UAE has always helped the Iranian Jews if they needed because there's always flights from here to Tehran, so there's always been special help for the communities.
Okay. Tell us about your family. Does the rabbi have a family? And tell us about how your children are being raised in such an environment.
So very good. The rabbi is still a young man.
That's right. He's only 20. Rabbi Duchman, 26, 27 years old. How old are you?
Yes, 27.
Okay. All right.
So I'm still here. I'm not yet married.
Okay.
Came from Morocco, but inshallah.
Bezrat Hashem. Well, we have. I'm sure after this call, you might get like 100 calls. All right. Whose picture in the background? You related to that? It almost seems too good to be true. Do you think this peace will last, or do you believe there might be a foreseeable problem?
This question, whoever asked this question, is a question many of our community members are asking.
Right.
And they come and they say, Rabbi Levi, are we sure? Is it too good to be true? All of a sudden, Al Al airline landing in Abu Dhabi, things opening. Maybe we should still stay low profile and wait till we open up our profile much more. So the answer is, first of all, I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I can't see what the future will stand. I feel that it was too, if it makes sense, it wasn't good before. This is normal. It's normal that when you're neighbors and you live in a society, and we're in the year of 2020, that neighbors should respect each other, and the differences that we had in our past, and whether it's political differences or fighting over different things. I think this is really something the world is focusing on, pushing peace, doing things better for the greater humanity. So I think I'm hopeful that it's not too good to be true, and it will only get better. And I feel that we were just living in the darkness.
Right.
To know that we live only 3-hour flight from the UAE to Israel, but it usually takes 7 or 8 hours because no direct flights.
Okay, that's beautiful. All right, there's one last question I received privately, and then we'll conclude with that. But I think it's a great question to conclude with, because it emphasizes this idea that we are one family. You know, we're speaking with you. You haven't met most of us, or maybe any of us, ever, yet we feel like we're one. And therefore, maybe this question with the sense of family, is there anything that American Jews can do to help your community?
So this, let's see how to answer this. I'll answer you with a story from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. There was a New York Times article speaking about this was in the 1960s, a big New York Times article speaking about the different genes of the different major religions. And the religions that were mentioned was Christianity and Jews. And the Rebbe read this article, and he called his secretary, Rabbi Krinsky, and he told Rabbi Krinsky to please write a letter to the editor asking them, why are they excluding such a big religion, important religion, Islam? And he said later, if you're going to exclude them, it could backfire, and it could cause damage. And I think finally there was a follow-up where they managed to add, and to show in America, now you guys will be our ambassadors in the US, showing how we could have this beautiful community coexistence, living in United Arab Emirates. And the same thing for you guys, whether you're joining the call from Arizona or anywhere, and your neighbors might not be the same as you, or people might have different political sides or choosing different things, you could think if it works in the United Arab Emirates, we can make it work here.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and great way to finish this really very inspiring session. Rabbi Duchman, thank you. Hashem should bless you. Tremendous hatzlacha in everything you do. Continue to be such a beacon of Kiddush Hashem and of light to your community, to our nation, and to our world. And hopefully we'll come to you one day. You'll come visit us one day after this COVID-19 era ends, Bezrat Hashem, soon. And we'll continue to grow together and really treat each other as a family, as mentioned. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Right.
thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Rabbi Duchman. Please send our very best to the whole community there.
Yes, I will.
Thank
I
you.
will. All the best. I'll speak.
Okay, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. Thank you.